Hey grads, while challenges seem like the new normal, I can't help but feel like you were cheated a proper send-off of one last spring music night. So, in lieu of that, I hope you can accept our sincere thanks for your 4 years of hard work through this video.
Hi Naziha, I really appreciate your work ethic and I can tell you're super hardworking and dedicated. Working with you on Arts Council this year was a lot of fun and I'm glad I got to know you better that way.
Hi Naziha, you're definitely one of the people that I look up to more. Whether it be from Tamarack or jazz band, you're one of those leaders that are always cheery and patient and smart, and you're always willing to help everyone out.
Naziha, you're such a talented player. You're so good on the tenor saxophone. When you first played in jazz band, I was so impressed by your tenor saxophone skills. You're also overall just such a kind and open-hearted person. I feel like it's so easy to talk to you, and talking to you definitely makes me feel better. I wish you all the best for the future.
Naziha, you're hands down one of the kindest, most hardworking people that I've met. Thank you for being so patient with my bombardment of questions and seeing your passion for music and your hard work on the Arts Super Council really inspired me as well.
Hi Albert, although you said I was a great MC leader, I also thought you were a super great team player and you always made teamwork so much fun, and it was always great to hear your ideas and I really appreciated them.
My first kind of impression of Albert was he has impeccable taste in shoes and hoodies, and I feel like I kind of saw him as I just kind of stereotyped him with people who have impeccable taste, they're cutthroat like that. And I meet him, and he's just down to earth. He's so kind, so approachable. He's really good at acting too. And it's been really fun having him in the bass section this year.
When my mom came to visit, because he was in my class, he just came into the office to ask me something. And he came in, he and I had an interaction, and then he left. And then when my mom and I were walking down the hallway back to her car, and I apologize for those people who don't speak Mandarin, Carol will subtitle this. But she was walking back, and she's like, "Who is that boy?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, he's a grade 12 clarinet player." And she's like, "How guai," and then she left. And then she just remembers him as the good boy.
When I think of Albert, I just think of wholesome. That's the word that comes to mind. And Albert is such a great guy.
Camille, you're such a cool dude. I really love how you were able to just give people handshakes and hugs in the hall. I'm really glad that I got to sit right next to you during Symphonic Band last year. It was such a cool experience having you there, being able to talk to you about the pieces we're playing, and you always helping me out with any issues I had was so fantastic. I really appreciate that about you, and hope next year does you well.
And as that guy who approaches you in the halls and gives you a handshake and a hug, I'm surprised, not I don't know anyone else who would have the confidence to do that. I think I didn't really get to know him as a person, but I remember during the Black History Month assembly, his trombone part was good.
And as a fellow trombone player, I'm sure you can really appreciate how hard that would have been.
Hey Evan, I don't really know you that well, but whenever I've seen you be an MC for music nights and an interview for the Arts Bash video, I found that you have really great public speaking skills and a really unique sense of humor.
I remember the morning that we were supposed to go to Tamarack. My co-counselor and we were supposed to go to Evan's house to do our flag, and I woke up late and I got to his house half an hour after we planned to, and he was just super chill about it. He wasn't mad at all.
I can tell you exactly why he was super chill. He could relate to it. That's why. I can talk to his compassion that you brought up. We were talking about vibrato in grade 9 string class, and you have been in my string class. I don't teach vibrato, but they wanted to know, and so I was like, I don't know, just ask someone. somebody, and nobody would say anything in class. When there were like a ton of people taking private lessons, but nobody wanted to say anything. So finally, Evan looks at me, and he looks at the person, and he just like quietly explains to them the two ways of doing vibrato. It was like very clear explanation. It was very straightforward, and I didn't realize that he was able to teach someone that he didn't really know, and who he virtually never talked to, a lesson like that that's not intimidating. It was kind of like my first insight to what I thought was inside this.
Philip, I'm glad that I got to know you better this year through symphonic band and badminton because you're such a funny and genuine person. You're so easy to talk to, and no matter what we talk about, it's still really, really interesting. I hope that you stay quirky and pika pika.
I never thought for a second that Philip was going to play in the ensemble for 4 years. There are people who you see and you're like, oh my gosh, I really hope they stay in the program. I'm probably going to lose them partway through. And I think that's where I put Philip. And when he decided to stay in it for all 4 years, it was like one of the most pleasant surprises. He's been such an invaluable resource for our clarinet section for 4 years. And he's really impacted the program, and I don't know if he probably doesn't attribute that to himself, and he should.
I never really thought of Philip as the most, responsible person. Maybe it's the way he chose to act. Throughout this year, every day before symphonic band, I would turn to him and be like, did you bring a pencil? And I remember distinctly at the beginning of the year, he never did. I think just one day it just changed, and then on he started bringing a pencil, and it's not really a big thing, but I really appreciate how Ken put thought into really small things to make other people happier.
I had the pleasure of working with him for the entirety of TOK. We ended up doing everything as a duo. So whenever I think of him, I just think of my TOK buddy that I will miss.
June, you've been one of my closest friends throughout these 4 years. I definitely couldn't have gone through high school without you. You're such a great leader, you're such a great person, you're so supportive, you're so funny. There's just so many sides of you that I'm sure everyone loves. You're also one of the horsemen, which means you are invaluable to my life. I really wish you luck next year at RMC. I am definitely gonna miss you.
We were able to not just bond because we were percussionists, and not just bond because he played with me in the York Symphony Orchestra, which are very fond memories for me, but the fact that we got to, I don't know how many of you know this, but June was drum major for his cadet squadron, and I think probably the people who get chosen sometimes kind of phone it in, and they just kind of tell people when they're doing stuff wrong. And whereas June was very interested in how to make his band better, what are the techniques to make him better. And as he's a very good musician, he just didn't really know what the pedagogy behind forming a band was. And so we had sat down twice for a combined at least 2 hour and a half conversation. And it was kind of like a moment of, I get to share my passion, not just for music, but for how to teach music in a high school setting to make people better. He was so interested in what I had to say. It was just such an honest conversation, and he was so willing to learn what he needed to learn to make his own band better. It just shows the kind of leadership style that he has.
When I see him working in chamber choir and symphonic band, and also with barbershop, I see that he's super focused and really determined to get things done. I really admire that about him, because he can also be super funny and outgoing, but when it's time to get down and do stuff, he will do it. So I find that really admirable.
Calix. Oh man, where do I even start? I mean, working with you this year has been nothing but rewarding. I really admire your leadership style and how approachable you can be. Thank you for being such a great president.
Calix is a really wholesome person, but I thought he was just like kind of scary before. Like he's so good at what he does, and he's like he's a funny person, and he feels like over there, and I feel like I'm here. But then like he's so approachable all the time and super wholesome.
And another thing that I'm going to be taking into my new school is what I've learned from Calix, which is there's always a better way to do things. My usual initial reaction is to ironically react emotionally, even though oftentimes I seem emotionless. He gives me a perspective that even if you feel that way, your actions might not, the best way to act might not be to reflect those emotions in your actions.
I think for one of like the first few times we did a mixed formation, I sat beside him, and like at that time I was still like not super comfortable, I guess, like with my singing ability. So and like especially in mixed formation when you're like sitting next to people that don't often like hear you sing, it's kind of like nerve-wracking. But I think that like I also like wanted to push myself to just like do it as I normally did. So then I did that, and then after I didn't really know how to feel about it, but then like as soon as we finished, like Calix turned to me and was like, "Wow, you're so good," and I had like a bunch of compliments, and like I totally didn't expect it, but it was like, super nice.
When Calix gives you a compliment, it's not just because he's nice, it's because he acts, and he's just so musically talented. It's because he hears things and he can appreciate them because he understands how difficult it must be.
Elham, you're one of the most talented yet humble people that I know, and I got to know you really well through Symphonic Band and DECA. You're so compassionate, and you're always willing to help others to the best of your ability. I really admire that about you.
But Elham was the ambassador leader. I don't know what the official title is this year. And for some reason, the past like 3 years, I've been like besties with the ambassador leader. This year with Elham, it was just like that, except we like had some real long conversations. Like the entire night was essentially him and I talking to each other in between parent-teacher interviews, and it was awesome. And it wasn't even anything in particular, and it wasn't anything like deeply profound. It was just really nice to connect with somebody that I have wanted to connect with, but didn't have the opportunity to. And we had an extended period of time to be in each other's presence, and he would come and visit me too. And that made me feel very special that he went out of his way to want to have those conversations with me.
I worked with him a little bit in like talent show, and that was like sort of like my first bigger event, and it was just like he was super nice and like really understanding, and I found like he was like super non-judgmental, so that was like really, it made it really easy to work with him.
I feel like he's one of those people who purposely act, I guess they don't really show their intelligence when you meet them. Like, it's how he chooses to act, and he gets along really well with people, but he's also like really smart and hardworking, and like I didn't know he was really good at the piano until I think grade 11.
Frank, you are hands down the most genuine and hardworking person that I know. I enjoy when you show me something you're working on outside of school, and impresses me just how much you're capable of.
I love Frank. He's so wonderfully weird because he's a smart guy, but he won't show people that he's incredibly intelligent. He's very, very humble.
I remember in physics, he brought in this really hefty Windows XP laptop, and we all asked him if that was like the laptop he always uses, and apparently it was, and everyone was just like flabbergasted as to how he gets like so much work done on like such a piece of hardware.
Whenever I like talk to Frank, he's always so nice and genuine. Like,
so nice.
I know, and like when you talk to him, he's so real, and like the way that he's nice, it's like, aww.
Bobo. I didn't really get to interact with you outside of string orchestra and Camp Tamarack, but you've always been such a supportive and dedicated individual that people can really count on.
I remember him being in grade 9 and the grade 12 that year, particularly the grade 12 string players, particularly Jerry and Andrew, would always talk about him. I think it's because they were in the same class because they took it when they were in grade 12. But anyway, they would always talk about it, and I'm like, listen, this is getting a little strange, guys. Like, yeah, you can be friends, but it's really weird that you talk about him this much. But he really got along with his older peers, and for whatever reason, they really took to him. And I think it takes a lot for grade 12 in general to not just like, but actively seek them out and want to hang out with somebody 4 years younger than they are.
When we would do projects or like work on anything, he would always like, he's really good at changing the tone to fit like the atmosphere of like what's going on. So like he would go from like a jokey kind of friendly type of tone to something like discussing different topics and everything. And I just thought that like the way he's able to like change the way he's like speaking about something and like maintain this like type of friendly nature to it, I thought that it was like something really appreciable about him.
Clark, what I find most fascinating about you is how your sense of humor is based around you getting insulted. But no matter how many insults you take, you're still that same cheery Clark. You're amazing at math and the piano, and I really enjoyed getting to know you more this year.
This year I did see him and his dad during parent-teacher interviews, and I was asking them how the interviews were going. And I said, your son is a good guy, he's really smart. He's like, yeah, but he's lazy and fat. And I've never seen Clark react so strongly towards somebody comment about him, but he was laughing. He thought it was so funny. And I think that's such a generous personality trait that I guess speaks volumes to the way he was raised.
Hey Brenda, I think you have a really great leadership style and you're super detail oriented, so I took some of those traits when going into my leadership position, so it was really cool to be able to see you lead, so I just want to thank you for that.
We've been biking a few times after. Distance biking, yeah.
Okay,
and
good.
This ties in with that point, it's especially distance biking because she's so fit and she's just like zooming ahead of us. All of our thighs are dying. Like on top of that, like she's super kind too. She's hardworking. Nice to have like such a well-balanced friend.
It's so easy to appreciate people who are really loud and who have very like extroverted personalities, and you're like, I notice you, I see you doing all these things. And well, I don't think Brenda is necessarily very introverted. I think it's just like a quiet personality, and she's so calm all the time, at least when I'm around her. And when she was treasurer, she would be put under like these stressful situations, and yet she'd still be like super calm.
Brenda hits me as someone who's really warm and kind, and like you can go talk to her with like for whatever reason, and like whatever's on your mind. If you have like something you're struggling with, you go to her and then you just feel relieved. Like she's just so good at like being calm and like helping you and like just like supporting.
Michelle, you're such a quirky and weird person, but you're also the nicest person I know, and I'm so glad that you managed to deal with me throughout these years. You're such a talented violin player. I can't fathom how good you are on the violin, and you're also such a great singer in choir. You're definitely someone who's supported me throughout these years, despite insulting me sometimes. But I really value you as a friend, and I hope that the future treats you well.
every single interaction I've had with her, she's always been super kind and like really friendly. I remember meeting her in grade 9. She was just really nice.
It's always a positive sign to have seniors be kind to their juniors, because in many high schools there's like a huge pecking order, right? You always think about it as a ladder, and the grade 9s are at the bottom of the rung and the grade 12s are at the top, and it's easy to kind of get into that mindset. And it's nice that to know that our seniors, our music seniors, want to help the grade 9s. They want to get to know them, and we've had so many successful years of like great mentorship between the juniors and the seniors, and you don't find that everywhere.
She's really selfless. Other than that, all I have to say is she's weird.
Thanks for your contributions, Alex.
No worries.
Natalie, I remember that the first time we talked, we didn't really know each other, but you were still super welcoming and incredibly genuine. I really admire your friendly and outgoing personality.
She's my Yakult buddy. We ended up having the same spare this year, and she's very timidly, which is an odd way to describe Natalie, because anybody who thinks about Natalie, timid doesn't come to their mind, but she very timidly asked me if she could study in the office. And I said, yeah, of course. And throughout the whole time, it was basically like us talking and then her apologizing if she was taking up my time. And then we'd have another really nice conversation, and then she'd apologize. She'd be like, I'm sorry, am I bothering you? I'm like, listen, no, not at all. You're so welcome here. And for those of you who have been in my office, you know that I'm very much about like feeding you. Like, you want a cookie? You should eat some of this. I don't know, maybe that's my mom coming out of me, but I was giving her chips and stuff like that. She was like, oh my gosh, like it was like blew her mind that somebody could be offering her food. So ever since that time, she would come by my office during our prep every so often. She'd hand me a little bottle of Yakult. She'd be like, I just wanted to give this to you, and then she'd run away. I think that was her way of kind of reciprocating that kind of generosity.
I was on the Tamarack exec team with her, and I feel like the only word I can use to describe her is powerful. Like, she's so charismatic. Like, she gets along with new people so well, and like, I know I'm in grade 12, but I was still kind of scared of the grade 9s. She was just like walking around talking to everyone. I was like, how are you friends already?
Melissa, I didn't really get to know you before we worked on our Group 4 project together, but between that and talent show, you really demonstrate what it means to take dedication to another level. It's obvious that you put a lot of thought and care into what you do, and I really appreciate that.
This is another parent-teacher interview memory I had of this year. Her mom pulled me aside and said, I have to tell you something. Her mom was saying that Melissa's friends were saying, you shouldn't be involved in extracurriculars anymore. You shouldn't play in the ensembles. You need to focus on your academics. It's a really important year. And her mom said, Melissa told her, she's like, nope, the music program is important to me. It's important to support the music program. Ms. Chang works really hard, and I should be one of those people that, play for her and support her through the ensemble. And hearing that meant a lot. And then she came out from the library, I think, and her mom grabbed her and she's like, I was telling Ms. Chang what you said. And you can see like the embarrassment just like flood her face. She's like, oh, yeah. It's one of those moments, but it was a very important moment for me, especially earlier on in the year. Because sometimes when things get busy, you kind of get like bogged down. You're like, oh, why am I doing this? And that was a great reason why.
William, when I think about you, the first thing that comes to my mind is your creativity. I really admire how creative you can be with things that you're passionate about. Thank you for all the great memories that we've made throughout the past 3 years. And I still think that you look like Rich Brian.
He has like really crazy ideas sometimes. Like, one time he wanted to do this like 12-wheeled robot, and it was just kind of it was funny. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, but he's also like really willing to
He has high ambition.
Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed that about him too, and that's something that I admire about him, is that he really doesn't want to settle for anything. I don't know if he knows how to settle. He always tries to be better than he is. I hope that he finds peace one day in who he is, because he realizes that who he is good enough, and that he doesn't always have to rise to other people's expectations.
Hi Max, I'm really glad I got to know you better this year and that we talked more, because you give really great advice and you're so easy to talk to, and I can tell that you really do want to help people, and I really admire that about you.
He's one of the very, very, very few grade 9 males that auditioned for chamber choir. We went to OVS, and it was almost everybody in this big circle on the floor, and like a moon circling a planet was Max out here on his phone. And so I went over to him just to make sure everything was okay. He's like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'm like, great, are you nervous? He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, okay. Just having that image of Max in my head and seeing where he is now, leading the choir, leading sectionals, his responsibility is to interact with members. He's grown so much.
He is capable of so much. For, I think, the first half of the year, this year at least, I didn't talk to him that much. And I kind of just saw him as chamber choir leader. And he was really good at being a leader. I think once I started getting to know him more, I was like, oh, you're not always in that leader mindset. You're such a chill person to be around.
William, you're so passionate about what you do, whether it be music or dance, and you're such a fun and interesting person to be around. I couldn't have asked for a better French horn stand partner and section leader. Thanks for being so supportive and calming, especially before big concerts.
I'm thinking back to, I think when he was in grade 11, I think it was Winter Music Night, and we were setting up, and if you ever have been on Music Council, you know how strange it can be while we're setting up, because we have to get so much done. And William is always very helpful, and he was doing something, and then I realized that his nose started to bleed. And so my instant reaction is, we got to make sure he's okay. So, I bring him into the office, I put an ice pack on his nose, we try to patch him up, and I tell him to sit down, not to move until he feels better. And this was before we went on winter break. He gave me a gift to thank me for taking care of him when his nose started to bleed. And I was very floored, because I'm always touched when my students want to give me something to show their appreciation. But I'm like, you're thanking me for taking care of you when your nose was bleeding? That just seems just like a natural thing to do. You don't need to thank me about that. But he was very gracious and very appreciative that somebody was looking after him. So that was very telling about his character.
He's such a supportive, Friday. I feel like, and he's always so willing to help, and just he's so enthusiastic about whatever he's doing.
So I feel I agree, he's super supportive, but he's also really passionate. So then those two elements together, it's he's pushing himself to be his best, but he also wants everyone around him to be their best. So, and I find that it's he naturally does that sort of. So it's just, I found it really unique, and it was really interesting being able to work with a person like that.
I feel like the trait that sticks out the most when I think of William is he's really honest. Not a lot of people have the audacity to just tell someone I don't think this is good, but he's someone, if he doesn't like something, he'll let you know. And it's not it doesn't come off as rude, but I really appreciate that about him.
Kayvon, you're such an honest and audacious person, and whenever I discuss anything with you, I just learn so much more, because you manage to bring in different perspectives and incorporate so many of the ideas that we say. I'm really glad I got to have so many classes with you this year, and I wish you all the best for the future.
I will say he embodies a personality trait that you just don't find a lot in teenagers. I appreciate the confidence that he portrays in his body language. I think speaking sometimes to adolescents is a little frustrating, because you just kind of want them to get to the point. and instead of having them just like kind of dance around what they really want to say. And Kayvon is very clear about what he needs and what he wants, and that makes communication with him very easy and very straightforward.
I think I've known him since grade 9 because of curling, and he was always that like cheery, supportive leader kind of person, and that made him really enjoyable to work with.
Daniel, you are one of the most creative and outgoing people that I know. Conversations with you are always hilarious and educational. Being able to sit next to you was definitely the highlight of English class.
He's a stellar viola player, which has inspired generations of stellar viola players. Who knew I was going to come into a strings program and have stellar viola players? Like, who can say those 3 words in a sentence and actually mean it? Like, it's been years since I've had to worry about the viola section. It's been phenomenal.
Every day when we would go into music council, I would like sit down and just start eating, and then all of a sudden I'd see Daniel sit next to me, and I would just be so happy because then like we just started talking. It could be about anything, but like whatever the conversation was about, I would just be like really happy that I'm talking with Daniel because he always like starts a really nice conversation.
Edward, on the outside you seem like this tough, tall guy, but on the inside you're actually so much more. You're so kind, caring, and chaotic all at the same time. As one of the outgoing music council execs, you're leaving big shoes for us to fill. I'm really glad that I got to work with you this year.
I feel like I sort of saw him as like keeping to himself more, but even though like I guess he sort of does that, like he gets a lot of stuff done, and like he gets it done in his like own way, and it's still like effective and done really well, even though it's like not how I would do things, but it's still like super well done.
I've learned from Edward that there's untapped potential in all of us that we might not know is there, and we don't know how much is there until we try to access it. And I think I'm going to take that into my new school for sure.
Okay, so the vice president is supposed to be a supportive role, and I remember him saying that so many times, but like I didn't really actually understand like how supportive he was to our entire team until recently. Like he made me a 9-page document on like advice for being a vice president, and I was like, that is a lot of like effort and dedication. He started making it back in December, and I was just kind of amazed at how I overlooked how much support, like how much that support meant to us.
And it really shows you how much he cares about the program.
I really think that Edward is going to become a party boy at Waterloo.
Catherine, my sister. I'm so glad that we got to talk more this year and that I got to know you better because you're such an amazing person. You're incredibly kind and your notes are so beautiful. I really loved your aesthetic.
In choir, she's just pretty close to me, and like she's always super prepared. So like she always has a pretzel, and she's like always like really willing to like pass it on. So yeah, I find that she's like really nice.
I feel like she's super adaptable. Like as soon as you start hanging around her, she becomes like someone who like tries to get to know you, sort of get with what you like, I suppose. So like I feel like anyone who talks with her has an easy time talking with her.
I remember during the Matchmaker printout give back thing, I remember the last group hanging around, and she was part of that last group, but I remember just a whole bunch of people gathered around chairs and they were like sharing each other's results, and I remember looking at the group thinking, how do you all know each other? Because it was very eclectic, like it wasn't just the same grade, and she was very much the person who was like looking at everybody's sheet. She was like making people laugh and pointing out things, and always in a kind manner, but she had she has an ease about herself when she's socializing with other people, which I'm sure rubs off to the people around her and makes them feel at ease as well.
Leon, I admire how hardworking you are on things you're passionate about. In all of our interactions, you clearly demonstrate that you take things a step beyond what's required of you.
An interesting fellow. I was having a conversation with somebody else a couple days ago, and his name came up, and I've already told him that we were talking about him, so it's not. But we were talking about how his intentions are always good, whether or not you can realize it from the words that are coming out of his mouth. And I was saying that sometimes people with higher intelligences, they have a hard time verbalizing what they're thinking because they're thinking so many thoughts. And sometimes when people speak, it sounds like they're talking about 5 different things at once. And I often get that feeling when I converse with Leon.
To the mighty group of BP Music graduates of 2019-2020. While you have always been smaller in number, your spirit and determination reflected numbers far greater. The grace and kindness that you have shown towards each other will trickle down to our next generation of students and have a greater impact than you may know. I consider it a privilege that we have walked on each other's paths for 4 years and embark on new ones together. On behalf of the program, we thank you.